Hey everybody, I'm Storm Team 4 meteorologist Matt Brickman. We have yet another storm to prepare for heading back into a work week. Thankfully, Monday is a holiday, President's Day, so fewer folks should be on the roads because they are going to be an absolute mess. It is not snow this time, it is ice, and something we have not seen much of in the Northeast in recent years, an ice storm warning. You can see all those purple shaded counties, the dark purple there, from Orange to Sussex, Passaic, down to Morris, down into Somerset County, over to Hunterdon, Warren County. Ice storm warning starting on Monday evening and going through Tuesday. It's kind of walk you through what's going on here because you might have seen some of the weather headlines from elsewhere in the country, maybe down in Oklahoma, maybe down in Texas. There's actually a remarkably vast winter storm warning all the way from, look at this, New Mexico through Texas, through Oklahoma, all the way up into Vermont. Just a huge swath of states that are dealing with that really nasty winter weather. The pink shaded counties are wind chill warnings for the extreme cold. Take a look at the temperatures out there right now. That 11 in Dallas is the record low for this date. In fact, their average low is about 40 degrees. So we're talking 30, 40 below average temperatures. This huge outbreak of Arctic air. You might be thinking, okay, you've talked about this long enough. What does this have to do with us? Well, this has kind of set the stage for those storms to move our way. Right now, that snow you're seeing down in parts of Texas, and maybe more importantly, a little bit of that rain you can see kind of down towards the Gulf Coast in Texas. I'll go ahead and point it out for you here. This stuff, that is going to get picked up by the jet stream, which has been shoved way south by this incredibly large mass of high pressure. It's the reason that parts of several Great Plains states didn't get out above zero today. Many spots topping out in the sub-zero highs this afternoon, but all that cold air pushing the jet stream way south, so that little low pressure system that we were watching, the one responsible for the snow and the rain down through Texas and into Louisiana and Oklahoma, that is going to start moving our way tomorrow, getting picked up by the jet stream, driving to the north and east, and as it does, the track is such that I think we are going to see ice, and quite a bit of it this time round, than the light glaze we saw a day ago or the snow that we've seen so much this season. Now, there is going to be plenty of snow. It's just what? Northwestern Pennsylvania, upstate New York, they're going to get slammed with heavy snow. But it's this pocket right here, this band of kind of magenta in the middle, where we could see significant ice accretion. So freezing rain on top, layering itself on top of it itself, and just kind of getting up to some really dangerous levels. So here's the breakdown. I think we'll see a little bit of patchy freezing drizzle, a little patchy freezing rain overnight tonight, and then through the day tomorrow. Not a huge deal, probably even less than what we saw yesterday, with some slick sidewalks, some slick front steps. Be careful, right? If you've got salt, put it down just to keep things safe for you. But once we get into Monday evening, the larger part of this storm arrives, and salt's only going to be able to do so much here. This is going to be so much ice is what we're expecting, that not only will it make roads and untreated surfaces slick, it will weigh down trees and power lines. This is heavy stuff. Imagine a quarter or half inch of ice, just kind of, you've seen this before, right? Or at least you've seen pictures of it when it kind of like coats a tree branch, or maybe covers up your patio table, something like that. Well, all that on power lines, on tree limbs over time weighs them down to the point where they can break, where they can snap, and where you could see widespread power outages, tree damage, things like that, not to mention those really dangerous road conditions. Now, in the city, I think we are going to miss out on the worst of this because we're likely to transition from freezing rain to just regular rain overnight, Monday night into Tuesday morning. So by those early morning hours, 3, 4, 5 a.m. on Tuesday, it's just rain. Temperature is going to be in the upper 30s, maybe even pushing into 40 degrees. So that will kind of take care of that ice that will have fallen on Monday evening. Icy at the start, but then we won't see the lasting impacts that spots north and west may see. Let's kind of walk you through this. Right now, it's pretty quiet, right? We're in the mid-30s. We've got clouds. So far, so good. But going through the overnight, you're seeing some of that moisture come in. Pink is going to tell you freezing rain. Green will be rain. Blue will be snow. And let's walk that through into Monday morning. Plenty of snow north and west, right? Spots like Sullivan and Ulster County getting snow right away. But this is kind of that patchy freezing rain and drizzle I was talking about during the day, right? That's noontime tomorrow. Not a big deal just yet. This is when things start to get dicey. 6 o'clock is when that ice storm warning goes into effect. And watch how much more moisture we've got to work with. This is where I'm particularly concerned. Even parts of Bergen County, Passaic for sure, Morris, Sussex, back through Pike County, Orange County, all under that ice storm warning. Sullivan and Ulster aren't yet. There's a winter storm watch that will likely be upgraded to a winter storm warning, or they'll be added to that ice storm warning, if not later tonight, then into the day tomorrow, because it looks like they will be in the band with that heavier ice accumulation as well. So overnight, into Tuesday morning. Look what's happening, though, here in the city at this time. This is even before sunup. There's 4 a.m. on Tuesday morning. We're in the upper 30s through Long Island, close to 40 in Montauk, down the Jersey Shore. That's good. We are warm enough that this should just be rain. Now, you don't have to be all the way down to 32 to get freezing rain. We'll talk about some of the ways that you can see freezing rain even above that temperature in just a minute. But let's get the storm out of here. By the afternoon, temperatures are back in the 40s. So we're starting that melting process pretty quickly. But we're talking 12 to 18 hour stretch where we're going to see freezing rain accretion. So accumulating freezing rain, that'll just build and build upon itself and make things really dicey until that warmer air can come in. Now, I mentioned we can see freezing rain even if the temperature is above freezing. Say it's 33, say it's 34. Keep in mind, we have a ton of snow on the ground. So even if the air, which typically is measured about 6 feet, the air temperature is measured about 6 feet above the ground. If the air temperature is 34 degrees, the ground is still covered in snow, and much in the same way that an ice cube cools down your glass of water, that snow on the ground is cooling down temperatures immediately close to the surface. So what falls as a liquid raindrop through that warmer air, and this is what happens with freezing rain, right? It starts out as a raindrop from the cloud, comes all the way down until it makes the ground and then turns into ice on contact. We're going to be pretty much on this far right edge of it, where it's just that very bottom bit of the column of air, likely down on the ground just above the snow, that's actually at or below freezing. So it's going to take all the way till it gets down there to cool off and then freeze on contact. So even in some of those spots where you're looking at your temperature, you're saying, hey, it's 33, hey, it's 34, I'm okay, I don't need to worry about freezing rain. That's not the case. You can still see it because of how much snow we've had, how much snow is left. Again, I'll look back at this. You're still over a foot of snow in a lot of places. Even in New York City, we're between 8 and 12 inches of snow still on the ground. So as that liquid rain falls, it's still going to freeze over as it gets down to the ground with temperatures in the mid-30s through the evening hours on Monday night. Now, this is what we're thinking for accumulation. Less than a quarter of an inch is kind of a large range. I think for the city, down the Jersey Shore, we are likely looking at a few hundredths of an inch of freezing rain. This is akin to what we saw yesterday, right? Just kind of enough to kind of glaze over your windshield to make those front steps and sidewalks a little bit icy. But when this is happening is late on Monday night, before that changeover happens to all rain and kind of eats away at those initial ice accumulations. Those are the spots that are under the winter weather advisory, the less extreme impacts from this freezing rain event. Now, the spots we're talking about, 1/4 to a 1/2 inch of ice. Parts of Passaic and Morris, Warren, Hunterdon, Sussex, back through Pike, Orange, Sullivan, Ulster County, and up into Dutchess, maybe even clipping parts of Putnam and Rockland County as well. That 1/4 to 1/2 inch of freezing rain, that's a lot of ice. That is not going to be taken care of quickly, and that is where we're worried about things like power outages, where the roads are going to be absolutely treacherous to drive on. You don't even want to try to do this. It's not the sort of thing where you just start hitting your brakes early. It's the sort of thing where you hit your brakes and they don't do anything at all, and you just keep on sliding and the car spins. You don't want to drive in this. Trust me, ice is so much worse to deal with than snow. Snow, we've got plenty of practice with. Ice storms like this one come around about once a decade or so, and there's no good way to drive in it. So those spots in that darker pink band, 1/4 to a 1/2 inch of ice, you do not want to be driving in that. So not only are the roads going to be a mess, I think we're going to see power outages out of this one as well. I mean, I talked about the weight of the ice. That's going to bring down, it's going to weigh down power lines. That's going to bring down tree branches, and that can certainly lead to significant outages as that storm rolls through. I'm starting to see some of your questions here coming out of Facebook, so I'm just going to look over here at the other screen. I'm going to try to make sure we get them answered here for you. John wants to know, what does this do for those with significant snow on their roofs? Yeah, this could certainly cause problems. I lived in Minnesota for 8 years. Ice dams are something we kind of talked about every winter, where you get a ton of snow on your roof and it would stick around and it wouldn't melt. If you're in that situation where you've got a bunch of snow up on your roof and then we're going to cover that with ice that might insulate it or even melt away a little bit of that snow, that could certainly lead to the situation where you're getting some of that snow melting, leaking through your roof, coming through the ceiling in your home. Ice dams are no fun. If you are in a position where you can get a roof rake or some other safe way to get the snow off your roof before that ice storm comes in, I think that's something you're going to want to do, because you're not going to want to be out there once the ice is down trying to clear the snow away. It's just going to make an absolute mess of things. Sheila wants to know how about upstate New York. Sheila, I'm going to go ahead and jump back. I've got a graphic that kind of shows the breakdown of this one. It's predominantly going to be snow for upstate New York. There we go. You can see there is going to be a little bit of ice extending just north of kind of Sullivan, Ulster, Dutchess County. But beyond that, I think this is going to be, I mean, even this far south, I think you're getting more snow than you are freezing rain, or at least sleet and snow mixing together. And then through western and then into upstate New York, this is going to be mainly snow and maybe even a heavy snow event. Oh, so I just got a question. How about Thursday? Let's talk about Thursday, because that setup I showed you here, right, where we've got that huge mass of Arctic air driving the jet stream way south, that's not changing anytime soon, unfortunately. So as we roll through these next couple of days, we're going to continue to see this pattern play out. There's Tuesday's storm. It looks pretty powerful, but we do it again. Wednesday's kind of our day off. Thursday, we are back to it. That one looks like it could start out with a burst of snow, maybe a few inches of snow, before turning over to that icy mixed precip type, and then warming up enough that this should finish out as all rain on Friday. Friday, I think I've got us, in the low 40s, 43 is our high there. So that should wash away pretty quickly, but Thursday could be pretty messy again. Let me just make sure I'm answering everybody's questions. It's got them here. Let me jump back so you're not just looking at this and you can see the areas that are under that ice storm warning while I go through the rest of our questions. Danbury, Connecticut. Ann wants to know about Danbury, Connecticut. So this is one of those spots, and that's going to be interesting. So right now, just a winter weather advisory through Danbury and frankly most of Connecticut. This I think could change. I was showing you a little bit earlier, but I think that freezing rain is going to cut through much of Connecticut with those close to quarter-inch totals. So while you're not under an ice storm warning now, while you're not under a winter storm warning now, that could change, if not tonight, then I think into the day tomorrow as we get more and more data that shores up, gives us greater confidence in this forecast that, yeah, I think we're going to see all that ice that the models are showing right now. Now, one thing about freezing rain, and this is maybe too nerdy, and if we're getting into the weeds here, let me know in the Facebook comments, but freezing rain, although it's liquid as it's falling and then freezing as it makes contact with the surface, turning to ice immediately, actually releases warmth as it does that. It releases latent heat through that freezing process. So as freezing rain is forming on the ground, that's actually warming up the air just immediately above it. So unless this is going to be kind of like a slow, steady event stretched over 12, 18 hours like it looked like it might be, I think some of these high-end numbers that some of the models are pushing out, and if you ever kind of look at weather models, some of these numbers are crazy. 3/4 of or a full inch of ice. That's not going to happen just because of that release of latent heat warming up the air. I don't think it's going to allow for all that freezing rain to form. Chris wants to know, will Newark Airport be affected? I would think so. Newark, obviously, under that winter weather advisory. This is going to be more of an issue Monday night, Monday evening in Newark, and as things warm up, you kind of get back to the rain, which shouldn't have the same sort of impact that icing obviously does, where you need to kind of de-ice the plane before you can safely get it in the air or get the ice off the tarmac and some of the and basically the rest of the airport. Those icy surfaces are not safe to land in either. So yeah, Monday evening, would not be surprised if we saw delays or even cancellations because of ice falling and accumulating there. Elizabeth wants to know, we're up in Randolph, New Jersey. Elevation is high. How much ice will we get? So that's one of those things where the air temperature is likely to be a little bit colder at elevation. And with storms like this, a change of a degree or two makes a huge impact. So higher up, yeah, I mean, you could be certainly looking at that 1/4 to 1/2 inch of ice. That higher elevation certainly is going to spell trouble out of this one. Cheryl wants to know, is Tom's River going to be affected? You might see some brief, hi Cheryl, you might see some brief freezing rain on Monday afternoon, early evening, but that'll warm up quickly and turn over to rain. I think by midnight you're in the 40s, and then you're in smooth sailing from there. Christopher wants to know about Long Island. Let's go ahead and go right back through the hour by hour, because maybe that'll help illustrate this point a little bit better. Long Island, I think you're going to see a little bit of freezing drizzle, freezing rain on the front end of this thing. There we go. There's noon on Monday, and you're seeing some of that freezing rain. Again, note the temperature, right? 34 degrees in American Islip. But I think that's one of those situations we're still able to get freezing rain because of that snow on the ground. As we head later into Monday evening, still kind of hanging in that 34, 35 degree range. As we get into 36, 37, I think it's just going to be too tough. So before midnight Long Island, I think you could see some light freezing rain. But then that'll turn over to just regular rain as we head into the overnight. And then, yeah, you're close to 40 degrees at that point. Heavy rains coming down. That'll wash away any sort of even meager ice accumulation that happened. Joanne wanted to know, what does the tomorrow afternoon look like in Marlborough area? First of all, Joanne, let me tell you, I went to high school in Marlborough, New Jersey, so I take this forecast very seriously. I think tomorrow afternoon, there might be a little bit of kind of like a patchy, here we go, we'll give you tomorrow afternoon. some kind of patchy freezing drizzle, freezing rain through Monmouth County, but not like a big deal, right? You're in that winter weather advisory, and it's just for this really light stuff. Joanne, frankly, I don't even think this is going to be as bad as what you saw yesterday, where you had close to a tenth of an inch of freezing rain accumulating into ice there. I don't think that's going to happen just with this patchy stuff through the afternoon on Monday. So maybe a little slick, certainly. Be careful if you have to kind of be out on the roads. But Monmouth and Ocean County, after getting the worst of it yesterday, I think will be spared from the worst of it Monday night into Tuesday. Miguel wants to know, I work in New York City but live in the Poconos. Can I get your forecast for the Poconos, Pennsylvania, almost 1,900 feet above sea level? Ice and a lot of ice, Miguel. I think that's going to be pretty nasty through the Poconos. Maybe you're lucky and you just get snow eating away at some of that icing potential, but higher elevations back through Pennsylvania into the Poconos, I would expect full-on ice storm here. I'll give you that ice storm map again, and you can see those counties. And again, just north of this, just to kind of illustrate the point, where we've got the winter storm watch right now, it's not going to stay that. It'll either be changed to a winter storm warning or added to the ice storm warning, and that should come overnight tonight or into the day tomorrow. Let's see. What does Westchester look like? Sam wants to know, what does Westchester look like? And Bergen County. That's a good question. We'll kind of give you a look, because you're right in the same kind of line here. You're close. This is kind of maybe the toughest spot to pick out for sure. So right in here, Bergen and Westchester County, you're going to be right on that freezing rain line on Monday evening, 7, 8 o'clock. If it's 33, 32, that's bad news. I think if we start out close to that freezing line Monday evening, Bergen and Westchester County, and again, we're talking about the difference of a degree or two, that's it. You could start to see some pretty nasty icing quickly on Monday evening. I think that line lifts north. You'll get more rain mixing in as you go through Monday overnight into Tuesday, but it's almost splitting hairs at this point where we're talking about a degree or two or 10 to 20 miles north or south, exactly where that ice rain line sets up. So it's a really tricky forecast. And I think kind of the big takeaway here is just to be ready, right? If you're in any of those Pepto-Bismol bands here, you've got the potential to see freezing rain and really icy conditions Monday into Tuesday. So take this as your early heads up. Be prepared if you can avoid driving Monday night into Tuesday morning, most of Tuesday morning. Stay off the roads. It's a holiday Monday. Tuesday, I know a lot of kids are off of school this week for February break. Maybe that's a little bit of a saving grace here as well, but and we're working from home, so many of us. If you can avoid being on the roads Monday night and Tuesday, please do, because they're going to be very, very dangerous, and nobody needs to be taking any extra risks in the year that we've had and the type of weather we've had these last couple of weeks. So I'll leave you with this. This is the map as it stands right now. Ice storm warning for those deep purples. Winter weather advisory for the blues. This could change tonight. I would expect that ice storm warning to be expanded. I would expect a winter storm warning to be added to this as well. It's a very different storm than we had yesterday, and a much more dangerous one than most snowstorms that we see typically are. So be smart, be safe, and we'll keep you updated right here online and on air as well. You can join us at 11 o'clock for the news from 11 till midnight, and of course we'll be back on Monday morning for Today in New York.